So Liz, did you want to share a little bit about,
We were sharing.
well, I don't know, this thing's only so big and you're, okay,
I
here.
don't know if that's good, but I thought we were sharing.
Okay, you do get up.
Okay.
And this is how we work together. This is how it works.
Yeah, I wasn't letting her get away with that, right?
Okay.
Well, we don't have a slide then.
No,
What happened to that?
I edited it too quick. So we'll get into other stuff. So,
Okay.
sorry, for this one we do. We can go to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I have the button.
So I just got these papers just when I walked through the door.
Yeah, but this is what you do.
so-
We used this before, Liz.
I know.
Don't need to panic. There, we've done this before, right? Right there.
Okay, so let's start with delivering the message where expectations are clear and consistent. Again, for us, it's always been about the interview process. So for this building, so it's a very different kind of housing because the expectations are you're working or going to school. So you're looking for, a certain person that is at that stage of their life. And again, about the commitment of how do they want to move their life forward. So the interview process for us was really, really important. When Laurie said they had problems before, well, they had a very different interview process. And so a lot of those people just weren't successful. And that's a shame because it set people up for failure. And, how do you move them on? And it really wasn't the building for them.
We didn't have an interview process. Do you need an apartment?
Well,
We have one.
You had one, but yeah. So that kind of changed. So we're really clear. So what's expected of you as a tenant? A lot of people really don't know that. We assume people do. And when I did 250 homes, what became really clear to me is that people thought, no, I'll move into my apartment and I'll do whatever I want and that's okay. But unfortunately, a lot of the times they weren't doing well in their tenancy for various reasons. They weren't paying their rent. They didn't think they needed to clean it. Or what are the expectations of them? And again, then what is the expectation of the landlord? And a lot of people were afraid to talk to their landlord because they thought they'd be evicted. So again, working on that. And it became really clear to us that needed to change. Even as a clinician, and I've been working with health authority since the 70s, so there I've just said I'm old. And experience, thank you for that. Yeah. So again, we just sort of thought you give somebody an apartment and everything should be fine, and that's not true either. And the other expectation is sometimes people think they're going to move there and everything's going to be fine. It isn't just about the apartment. Some people get very lonely. So what do you put into that? So again, it's a really different conversation at the table. Do you want to add to that?
No.
Okay. Do not assume anything. Meet people where they are. And again, during the process of interviewing, if people have family involved, make sure the family's there. Or whoever they consider as family. It might be a really good friend, but have them there because their supports are really important, and that's what's going to help make it work as well, and working with the family. So again, engaging the tenant in the whole process along the way, and having that honest conversation at the table with somebody. And talking about what are the things and the downfalls that didn't work before. And then, okay, so what are we going to do about that? How do we change that? How do we have a dialogue at the table? Because it's okay when things are going well, but when they're not, if they don't let you in the door and then it just goes downhill, it's about you start that engagement piece and talking with people, and that's what's going to get you into the door. One thing I found about housing, for me, it's been so inspirational. It's the one way you really get to know people well. It's better than when I see someone when they were coming to me for a 1 hour meeting versus I'm going to their apartment and you're having a conversation and how they view you. So the proper screening process, the relationship, being honest. So you're honest at the table. It's about saying, so if in the past, okay, so tell me why you lost your tenancy. So if it isn't clean, how do we have that conversation? Are you open that we can talk about that? Because if we really, the whole point is we want you to be able to keep your apartment. So can I come in and have a conversation with you? Okay, things don't look as good this time I'm coming in. Can you tell me what's happening? And it could be for various reasons. It could be because they're disorganized at this time, and you're going to catch it if the place is disorganized. Or generally they keep a very clean place. So it gives me more insight too on the other piece of that. So I'm doing a dual thing. I'm assessing for my role as a clinician, and you're assessing from their housing piece, and then you can sort of say to them, okay, so let's do it together. How do I help you with that? So, maybe it might be setting something up, might be something on the fridge. This day I do this and that, which helps give that person something to look at and help organize them.
Or it could be as simple as, this has happened, changing a light bulb.
Yes.
Because we have these really strange light bulbs, I know, in our building, and people don't feel comfortable going asking for help. So it's been burnt out for months, and you don't know that until you're in the apartment. Even though they know they can go to the super, they know there's help. Yeah, that was one thing.
And that's scary too, having a voice. How do I go to my landlord? How do I have a conversation? Because I might lose my apartment if I tell them that this is what's wrong and I'm going to be blamed. So again, helping that person have that voice, that they're feeling that they're being listened and they're not going to be evicted because they've come to the landlord. Knowing how to turn off your toilet if it's overflowing, because some people didn't know that. Or I went into someone's apartment who the light was on the stove and they didn't know how to turn it off, and it had been that way for a couple of weeks. So again, and that's all to speak of the tenancy and how do we help people have that skill. And not rushing the process. So again, it's about that interview, having that discussion, and being supportive of that person through every stage. For us, it's when you accept somebody, so what do you need? What are the things that you need? Start thinking and making a list of what you need to be in that apartment. And then helping them with that. And then meeting with their supports and looking to see how they can help with that. And how does that move sort of happen?
So we do the interview in 2 stages, or what we refer to as a screening. One of the questions that we have, there's a whole list of questions, but one of them is, do you have an outstanding power bill?
Mm-hmm.
And people will say, no, I don't. Well, we know right away they do. Or do you have furniture? Yes, I can get furniture. And then when they move in, no, they don't. So we've learned to help pay the bills, and we also help to look for furniture. And if anybody does housing, this is all normal, and I understand that. We have a solution, though.
Or they don't think they have a power bill, but maybe it was 8 years ago, and they forgot about that.
They're 18.
Power bill. Yeah, and so then how do we work through that with them? Yeah. It takes time to move into an apartment and create a happy and healthy home. And so part of that is moving in, and for this building, it's been really, really great. Where we have monthly meetings, it's a good way that they meet everybody that's in the apartment building, and that meeting can be, we're talking about how are things going in the building, are people getting along, are there any issues, is there anything that's broken, is there anything that needs to be fixed, so they're really part of that. And then what we said before, whether they're having a barbecue, I mean this last group has really created quite a community where they really are a lot of, I think, all good friends. Can you say?
Well, they set the bar high.
They set the bar high.
For us.
Yeah.
To make a healthy home.
A healthy home. So what's this? Oh, okay. So again, working relationships with the clinical team. The really good part is when you interview people and you're talking about who are your supports. The one question I do ask, though, they can have supports. The question I really want to answer is, what do they think of their supports? Do they think that supports are important? Are they engaged in that process? Because if they're not, then we have a different conversation at the table. Because that's what, it's important that they are engaged, that they see that there's importance, because if things go wrong, those are the people that you want them to go and see if there's something if there's something wrong. And again, with family, you want to know that they have family support, and that maybe that's the person that they're going to talk to. So.
Excuse me. What if they don't, what do you mean by clinical supports? Because like not everybody who has a mental health issue has a community support worker or...
They don't. So I guess what is that support? So for us, I think everybody that's within Affirmative House, everybody does have somebody.
So it's a requirement?
Well, most of the people that are in this
That's
building,
where our referrals come
yeah,
from.
are usually from there and usually have a support.
Okay.
Yeah,
but we are getting...
everyone in that building has had you know, within the mental health, we've gotten the referrals, and they are engaged in that process. So again, and I'd say even for affirmative homes, even the people, because we have 2 apartment buildings now where 2 people are sharing, and all 4 of those people have supports. Yeah, so that's a good question. So when they don't, so do you support people in housing then that don't? And they don't have that?
We're getting more referrals for that now, and we have a couple now that I follow up with their GP, so they do have supports. But
Okay.
make sure that but I will not.
So supports can be.
Yeah, I will make sure though that the person, because they've identified their doctor as being very supportive.
Right.
So, yeah.
See, we're in the valley, so like,
Yeah.
it's a little more limited than an HRM.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
if,
So how do you work
that-
something in housing and do that you have that? Because you actually do need to have a good relationship with the GP too.
Right.
So what's worked for us is because people, like I have people that I support that they don't have a psychiatrist, they have a family doctor.
Mm.
But then I'm the support that goes out and I'm the one that's in the housing piece, and you pick up so much because you're there and you know when people aren't doing well. And so that's what's worked really well for us. So, and if there is an issue, then you're talking with the GP and you're going with the person and you're supporting them. So yeah, you have challenges as to how to make that work. It has been successful in Affirmative House. It's worked. Yeah.
So Lori, maybe you want to share a bit about switching from IA to PSP and how that care coordinator is a community support.